No Nation. Welcome into another episode of the Renegade Rundown. As always, I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Jen Santee, aka at Jen Santee 1890. Below her is our good friend, Deshawn Adams, 18. You can find him on X as well. Also on his YouTube channel. We'll get you all lined up exactly where to get over there. And also today's guest of honor, who looks like they have blended in with the green screen or disappeared on us. There's Big Game James. He's the owner operator of MFTK, a 501c that does all kind of amazing things for kids in the communities that he works in and around, be it Tallahassee, Jacksonville, even Atlanta this year, doing some work. He's trying to give out 4,000 book bags. So we're going to get you all that information, how you can donate. Thanks for joining us, James. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man, I'm just happy to be here, guy, man. Appreciate you. Season's coming. It's really soon. Was it 9 weeks? So 9 Saturdays. But bigger than that.
7 weeks. Yeah.
We are, what is it? Not this Monday, but I believe it's next Monday is when everything corrects itself. People will stop crying. I think crime is going to go down. I'm predicting crime will go down by 10% for at least 2 months. NCAA is coming out. If you bought it, if you just go ahead and buy the early version so you guys can stop getting on everybody's nerves. Because right now, I can't wait. My son is going to be out of town.
Man, and I'm right there with you. It's like, holy shit! Like, put the game out. What are we doing?
Yeah.
They just won't stop with the ads and the different this and that and this and that. It's like, holy shit, we get it. Put out the damn game.
Yeah, I don't really care about all of that extra play stuff. Just give me the game. If they had a charge, I actually did pay $150. I bought the
Oh, you bought both?
Because we're gonna get Madden. My son wanted Madden, but if they had to sold me $300, you can get the game today. I would have probably paid it. I just really, I don't like waiting. So that's why I'm on 10 this month. So if anybody listening right now, if I respond to you the wrong way, don't take it personally. Every year, the last year 5, month of July, I'm tense. I got about $80K. I got a raise in a couple weeks. I'm on edge. It's gonna happen, but I'm on edge. So people get cussed out. But if I could do anything to get me off of edge, play a video game, I'd have paid all that money for that. So
facts. They got on old Steve Wiltfong's head talking about, how grown men are gonna have time to play this. Meanwhile, you on Twitter tweeting. But I got my guy Mike Bartz with a $10 super chat, said he wanted to get it in early because he's working. Love the Roast Monday. Appreciate you. Go Noles. We always appreciate Mike Bartz. He's been an OG on all these different channels. So thanks for the super chat, man. We really appreciate it. We're going to talk a little bit about FSU football and previewing the offense and what it's going to look like. That's going to be our main go for the show. A little bit after that, we're going to maybe talk about a little bit of NFL Noles we've got, a little bit of recruiting. But I'd be fumbling the bag if we didn't talk about this situation first, because it got brought up in the chat and it seemed like all we talked about in the production meeting. So Tavion Wallace spurns Florida State for Arkansas. Everybody's freaking out. We talked about it on the show a couple shows ago. It's not the end of the world, but just to cover that again, we were talking about the different schools he was interested. There's some rumors out there currently about who's still recruiting him, and Florida State being, still having a shot there to flip him. But I guess I'll let Jim start with this one, and then we can go around the room with it. Feelings on Tavion Wallace. What do you got, Jen?
You really want me to, or do you want me to be straight with it? Do you want to get in trouble today on a Sunday on the Lord's Day? All right, I'll do it. I don't care. Look, this poor kid just likes big women, and it's fine. And you know what? He ain't sticking with Arkansas, so let's be for real. Now, I'm not saying he's definitely going to flip to Florida State, but this recruitment's going to go to the end. Y'all need to calm down. Take a Xanax, stop shaking, make your world bigger. If you really think that top dog kid is going to Arkansas, I mean, I have beachfront property here in Memphis I can sell you for $20. Now, again, I'm not saying he's going to go to Florida State, but again, maybe he just had a good visit,
Mhm.
who knows? But he also didn't just spurn Florida State, guys. He spurned Georgia for Arkansas. Like, this
Mhm.
wasn't against, like, on anybody's head. Like, he spurned other programs too. Let's calm down. They've had worse ranked recruiting classes
Mhm.
and they went 13-0. Can we just take a breather? That's all I would say.
Yeah, for me, I look at it as all it's shown is a glaring wart that we all know about. It's recruiting in a particular position group, but also two things could be true.
Yeah.
The kid made his decision. He made his decision, but in my opinion, I don't think it necessarily sticks. It just shows that there is there's a problem that needs to be rectified in that area. That's it.
Yeah, definitely something that needs to be addressed. I mean, Randy Shannon is a legend for the amount of production that he's had and development that he's had at linebacker. It doesn't make sense that it's this hard. I would, but maybe they reshuffle the board, continue recruiting him, find something else here. I think if you really are nitpicking, you could go back but he's picked up a 4-star damn near every other recruit. Well, he's only been here for a few times, but Blake Nicholson's a 4-star. That was a guy he brought in. Cryer was a 4-star. Whether we want to admit it or want to like it or not, he was a guy who was brought in after the fact, but he still was a high school recruit. But it shouldn't be this hard when it comes to guys like him. But the other side of it is it probably shouldn't have been as hard as Odell in the last couple of years to be able to get the guys in which he got. But the key to the game, as I always will say, is winning. So, like, if we're winning games and he's developing guys, and we'll see DJ Lundy should be a guy that's getting drafted again by the end of the season. I've seen tremendous growth with him. You go and get Sean Murphy, who was a top guy. When he was coming out, you had 3 years to develop him. You've got, I can't think of his name. Is it Cam, the young man from Auburn?
Cam Riley.
Yeah, Cam Riley. So you got versatility with him. You've got the potential to get 2 guys drafted this year. None of which, if we even brought in those guys, they would play, but none of them would be guys that we are considering to be starters for 2025 anyway. So there's still ways to address it. And my new thought process is get guys who are impactful, who raise the floor in your high school recruiting. And if you need guys to play right away, go find that sophomore, that junior. I don't like 1 year mercenaries. I'd rather guys that you can get in to develop a couple years. Go find those guys in the portal. We'll be fine. And just again, Randy's job as well as Ernie's job is to develop linebackers on the football field. Mm-hmm. As long as that's happening, they're recruiting their type, I'm cool with it. But once it starts becoming an issue, we do got to hold accountable. So I get it. There's 2 things that coaches are: recruiters and developers. Developing is always the higher thing. And recruiting, what is it? I like to, I actually just had I took my boys to get ramen the other day. And it was better than ramen I make at the house. I will say that. It was a much higher grade ramen. But I like my ramen at the house. And if I have to give them ramen that I make at the house, guess what? They're going to win with that. But $150 ramen is pretty damn good too. Like, sometimes you got to have some $150 ramen in your life. So
for sure, you got to get those nice pork cutlets and the fish cakes and all the fancy stuff, like a normal episode every once in a while. I've never been able to drink the broth, man. So I want to make it happen personally. Some of that badass ramen. I'm like you. It's just been Nissan and Top Ramen for me. But I totally agree with all the stuff about Randy Shannon, the linebacker group. They have a plan. Mike Norvell has a plan. James mentioned it. You bring in Ernie Sims. They make a new rule where analysts can coach on the field. So who knows? Maybe after this season, there's a flip-flop there. There's a million different ways it could go. Randy Shannon could take more of an executive role as that assistant coach, and they could bring a guy that could help with the edge rush and, also with the linebackers. Somebody like Ernie Sims could do something like that. There's all kind of things that could happen. Or like James said, and we've all, kind of talked about, there's plenty of time left. He could still flip it. He could still get a Tavion Wallace. And that's the big thing. That's why it hurts so bad. You really only need 2 linebackers, 3 tops. So when you miss on one, it's kind of like, bam, half your class. My biggest kind of problem with him is that it seemed like he wasn't even trying to go after the top names. So I really was fired up and hyping him up, making some lies because of how this kind of session was going. You were in for Wallace. You were in for this guy, that guy. It was the guys that were 6'1", 200 pounds, just like you like. So I think that's why people are so upset. It's like you kind of lied to yourself about what it was, whether it needs to be that or not. So that's what that is. But I'm really excited about Sean Murphy and Cam and Juice and all the different guys we get in there. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's just one of these things. We talk about it all the time. Mike Norvell won 13 games with that 30% blue chip ratio and all these transfers and all that. We saw that. We just want to see. We saw he can do more with less. People want to see if he can do more with more, and that's where we're going. We're going to a top 10 recruiting team. It's going to take about 20 guys that are going to be 80-90% blue chips. That's what they want to do. They don't care about star ratings. That's result oriented. Just so happens they're going to evaluate the top guys in the country, and at the end of the day, 90% of the time they're going to have 4 or 5 stars. It's just out. It happens, but I don't want to spend all day talking about Randy Shannon. Henry comes in with a $5 super chat saying, "Sup guys, who are the next 4 to 5 guys that we get to commit?" And also Till Dog with their still fake mad at Randy Shannon, huh? But yeah, folks are still upset. We're gonna move past it. As far as this one, the $5 super chat from Henry. I don't know. The next 4 or 5, that's pretty tough. But before we get into the offensive preview, I guess when we're right here, we might as well do this. Probably the 5th, I would say, could be maybe a Josh Petty. He could be like a 4th or a 5th on August 12th, I believe. In between that, it's really tough. Maybe you guys have a different board than me. Not a ton of names. Not a ton of names that are scheduled. You've got a guy, Max Redmond, committing on July 9th. So depending on how the board is for those guys, you could possibly see a commit out of him. Could be one of your first commits. I believe that's Tuesday. But I'm not really sure. They just, moved up Bryce Fitzgerald's board. They're pushing at him. Ladarian Clarity's another guy on their board at safety. You've got Snowfall, Onis Conan Banny that people really feel like has a good shot to be in Knoll. He could pop at any time. There are a lot of guys, so I hate to kind of pass the buck here, but we can go James first this time around the room, I guess. Is there anybody that has a particular guy they think could pop pretty quick?
Oh, my bad. We have 10 commits. I said 9. I was wrong.
Yep, 10 for 10, baby.
But you got the running backs. You got Byron Lewis, and I don't know. Forgive me, I don't know how to say their names. I learn names when they make a play. If I don't know, if it's not easy. I just called a kid Ozempic, whatever his name is. Kid, the running back from Georgia, the bow-legged one. Not saying
not Ozempic, but it's not Ozempic.
It just comes. It's close enough. It's something, and then. So I believe I like our chances on landing both of those, if not one of the two. You still have I don't necessarily know it's between us and USC with the wide receiver out of Texas. Dugans
definitely
needs to get on the board again with another 1 or 2 of those guys. I like our chances with Josh Petty. Because Petty will give us the 4th one, right? Or are we? Yeah, because we got 2 interior linemen.
Yes.
We have a tackle. Yeah, so Petty would give us the 4th one. We did just lose Lamont to Missouri, but everybody kind of figured that he wasn't coming here. The offensive tackle, that's the project, that's the basketball player. I believe he's going to go to Georgia. But again, if you get 2 4-star running backs, another 4-star receiver, actually, I believe he's a 5-star receiver with DJ. Now you move to, again, Petty. Depending on where you rank them at, 4 or 5-star, that very high range. Going to on the defensive side, I like our chances with Squirrel or Clarity. I know it's a battle right now, which we haven't seen Pat Surtain in quote unquote battles like this. But I do like the chances with him and Snowfall. Or again. I don't even want to pretend to mess his name up, but that would be another good get for that secondary. That Patrick Surtain has not led us astray when it comes to that. So again, just take those names from a guy's and a guy will just just play around with those. Just give yourself all of the names to get truly excited and see where that recruiting class will be. You'll be in the 300s with just those names. If you get 75% of those names on that list, you'll probably still be in the 263, 280 range. For those who don't know, we were 263 last year, signing. I believe we signed 20, 19 to 20 kids last year. The goal is to get 20 to 25 names that we're really just zeroed in on. If we are continuing to operate the way we're operating, we sign 25, we're a top 5 class, potentially shooting for a number 1. I don't necessarily, I'm not against that. That's just nothing. That's not something that Mike has shown me. But what we have seen is quality, and I can't knock it. We don't have 1 3-star, and that's not including a couple of these guys on this list are going to skyrocket up the charts once they do reassign the numbers. One in particular being QB1, Tramel Jones. One thing I'll tell you, I love, again, hater has never been in my nature. I don't know how to be that, but here's what I'll tell you. Consume whatever media you would like to consume. But just know that they got about as much of an idea about what's going on in recruiting as you do. All they can do is ask the questions, and sometimes they get wrong. Again, I wasn't really following Tavion like that, but everybody got wrong intel on Tavion. I told y'all for damn near the better part of a fucking year that Tramel wasn't going nowhere, and y'all kept telling me I'm wrong because somebody else put it in the fucking message board. And it's not like I know the kid. And Solomon just did an interview with a guy who I do respect. But Solomon did an interview, and the first question they led with, are you going to sign with Florida State? And he said, I'm shutting down my recruitment. So it's just relax.
That was
that sometimes play on your it's your emotions again play with it, and that's again, I get it, but just vibe. That's all I can tell you is just vibe.
Yeah. Guy, throw out there another one. Prospect. I think Ty Haywood is another name. I think James, you were referring to McCutcheon in Texas. I think they're still trying to recruit. The Donk's still trying to. He's putting the gas in the car. He started the engine, so it's hitting the road. What's his name? Khalik Lockett's another name. This, for whatever reason, we could say it's a stretch, but we're in.
I'll tell you this right here. My bad. Somebody put VB3 in there, and I do know the kid vibes with it. But if that kid does what I think is the unthinkable, Dugans, hear me out. Y'all can cut this. Whatever cigar you want, Dugans, I'll get you. I will personally go find that box of cigars. And VB3, I can't tell you that I will give you something because technically that's illegal. But holler at me when you sign, like when the papers are official, and we'll figure out. Because I know what I would do to my son if it comes, we're class of 2033, and everybody's telling me that Trey Coleman wants to play running back or linebacker at the University of Florida. He's free to do. He's free to do whatever he wants to do. I won't talk to my son, and I will only see him play 2 football games in his entire college career, and that'll be both of them will be at Doak Campbell Stadium. And when we're playing Doak Campbell, and I will shake his hand when he graduates. I'll shake his hand and say, "Hey, you did it like a man. You had no family help. You did everything that you could do. Holla at me when James Anthony Coleman IV comes around. Don't talk to me again until I'll do better by my grandson than what I did by my son. So I know the pressure with your granddad and your dad both playing at Florida. I can see them not going to Florida, but I mean, yeah, that's a hard sell, man. That's a hard sell.
No doubt about that. Man. What about Jabari Antone? Is it Boosie or Booby they call him?
Boosie.
He's feeling good on that one. I know you were high on him at one time. Is he another name that you think's right up there with the DBs, or is he a LSU guy?
Miami,
I think.
Yeah, you were going, Deshawn.
Yeah, I'm thinking right now it's more positive in the favor of Miami at this point. To be honest with you, that doesn't mean we're out of it. You know,
Over
Sartain,
LSU?
yeah, most
Okay.
likely. There's been there's been a lot of discussions between him and then also DJ Pickett too, which we're not in that
Yeah,
recruitment, but
not in that, unfortunately.
just the direction in which where Miami's and what they're doing with their secondary, they're making a big emphasis on that position of need that they do actually need. But as far as Jabari, I think right now I would give it a 60% if I'm putting a percentage on it for him to go to Miami at this point. That's just my opinion.
There you go. You heard it here first. Anything on your mind, Miss Santi?
Well, I mean, I agree. I think it's Miami for him. And, you know, Miami's secondary is so sorry. They really don't have a choice but to put all their eggs in this basket and just send out all the money for all these things, you know, this year. And that's fine. Do it. Do it. Do it. We're good with that. I mean, maybe, I mean, you know, there has to be a point where they don't get to put up those, Moral Gable wins videos where they might have shut down a wide receiver one time and still lost the game. So maybe they'll actually win a game with their secondary at some point. I don't know.
Always fun to talk shit about Miami, so we take any chance we can to do that. As James was talking about the class and where it ranks currently, Mike Norvell's first class total was 240 points. This class stands currently at 203.9 with 1 5-star, 9 4-stars. And again, when you talk about quality over quantity and kind of the ridiculousness of how 247 does their rankings, like, is it good? Is it pretty accurate on signing day? Yeah. But when you scroll up and you look at the guys ahead of us in this recruiting class, Maryland, 4 4-stars, 13 4-stars. Whose class are you taking? Florida State. Georgia Tech, 2 4-stars, 18 3-stars. USC, they're a little bit better. They've got 6 blue chips, 7 3-stars. UCF, 3 blue chips, 14 3-stars. Michigan at number 22, as we said over and over on this show, recruiting a lot more like Florida State with 10 blue chips and only 3 3-stars. Washington, 5 blue chips, 14 3-stars. SMU 4, Texas 8, Kentucky 7, TCU 4, Wisconsin 6, Rutgers 7, Tennessee 7. So, you know, you go up and up. Missouri 8, Clemson 9, Auburn 9. Penn State has 12, Miami has 12. It's not until you get to into the top 10 are there guys with multiple or any kind of 4-stars more than you. And when you look at the 3-stars that they have, 9, 5, 9, it's all close to 10. So you can understand why Florida State is number 9 and on 3, and why we're telling you guys to just relax. We have 100% blue chip ratio. Everything is going to be just fine. But again, unless there's something somebody has, go ahead, Deshawn.
Yeah, I add one more thing that we didn't mention in the past show is also look, if you follow those rankings and you look at the teams that are in the top 10, most of those classes are already in the mid to high 20s. So you're going to have some movement. Some kids may get pushed out of classes for other commits or prospects. But on average, if you look at it, we're in the top 10 with only 10 prospects committed right now. And we still have room to take anywhere from 4 to 7 more where we're actually going to take, if not another 10. And if you look at the other top 5 or those are ranked ahead of us, most of those programs are already in the 20s in commitment. So how many more are they going to take?
You know, we've got like number 1, or it might be number 2 now, something like that, if anything. But yeah, one of the top averages in the nation. And Florida State's not signing 10 guys. So to look at that number on the left side of the screen right now, when you've got 10 blue chips and 0 3-stars, burn it, throw it out. Even on 3, 9, that's nice. But if you add in the extra 10 guys, they would move up a little bit there too. It's going to be the best class Mike Norvell signed to date, man. It's going to keep rolling. It's going to happen in 2026. We just saw we got a commit from a DB in 2026 the other day. A couple of weeks ago, we get a top quarterback in Brady Smeagol. That's the number 1 class in the nation for 2026. So they're getting it done. They're going to keep getting better and better and better. But we will move on to that offensive preview. I believe 7 weeks is what we figured out before the show, is how long before we kick off, before we have an actual game over in Ireland. But fall camp is going to be about a month like it is every year. So we're here literally just a couple weeks out. So really wanted to talk a little bit about offense. We talked about DJU and the offensive line a ton. My biggest thing has been the running game. So that's kind of where I want to start today. I'm super fired up. We've got the third most starts in the entire nation coming back on the offensive line. We've got the MVP of the ACC title game in Lawrence Toafili coming in. We've got Roydell Williams, who ran, I believe, was it 500 rushing yards, 700 total yards, something like that at Alabama last year, which people, oh, he wasn't even a starter. That is a big load for a guy at Alabama in any year. We all saw it with, Trent Richardson, all those guys as freshmen. They would be the second or third back, and they would get 400 or 500 yards. And they would work their way up. I believe 100% he was a guy who's going to continue to contribute and possibly get a starting position at Alabama. I believe he's going to be a guy that's going to eventually start for us. I couldn't be higher. Like, I legitimately think we'll have the best running game in the ACC and go from there. We'll see what DJU and stuff can get going. But I figured I'd let James start with this one, starting off with his position, that he kind of loves playing fullback and coaching running backs and stuff like that at Mandarin. How fired up are you for this running game?
I'm excited. I've always told people I really enjoy Trey Benson's style of running. I think you need a complementary type of running style when he came there. I believe if we wouldn't have lost, my guy's at Boston College now. Just Treshawn Ward. I think you would have been able to see a very good combination. You can't call him thunder and lightning because Treshawn, while he has elite vision, did not have elite game-breaking ability, whereas Trey Benson did. But Trey Benson's vision wasn't as great. And if you go back, and I'm trying to contemplate how I would like to do it, but going back and watching old games. But I did do a breakdown of every game last season, if I remember correctly. And we talked about running game. We talked about details. And if you're a member on my channel, you'll get a chance to be able to see that live because I have to have a closed circuit. YouTube will jam your channel up if you try to play a live game while you're streaming. But on a closed channel thing, uploading it, you could do it without. Actually, I might be able to do it without receiving. I have to just tell them I don't want monetary money for it, but you'll see that Trey, especially when we're doing the double pull. See what has to happen when you have the double pull, right? And we call it there is times when it's a counter, and then there's times when it's just two motherfuckers pulling. A counter means we go to the left, and then we end up going to the right, or we go to the right and we end up going to the left. Some variation of it. We do that at Mandarin a lot. And it's really not a counter. It's just we just start off to the right and then come back. But it's really a downhill run. It could go if it's designed to go to the left because we run a zone concept, it can still go to the right. The D tackle dictates what we do. But I'll talk about the double pull that we like to run, that Atkins likes to run. So let's take that center. That center's job is to kick out the first man on the line of scrimmage, right? So we're either sealing or we're bouncing them. Perfect world, you want to kick that motherfucker out. But those guys get paid to do some things too. So you're reading that first block. Second guy is typically your tackle, or sometimes we do it with your tight end. The wider the guy, the more patient you've got to be because they got to read that first kick out. And then that's who the second puller is looping around, coming for a linebacker or most dangerous. So sometimes Trey is just all gas. He's just going through that. It reminds me of Leonard Fournette a little bit. We used to call him wrong hole Lenny. Whatever the hole is, you just hope it's lubed up and he's going right through it.
Yeah.
All right, hope no kids are watching. Hey, not to be too graphic, but he's penetrating whether it's going through or not. Yeah. But but now I believe with more mature linemen, guys like Richie Leonard, who whether you believe he's going to start or be first off the bench, go watch his films at Florida. He's really good at locating guys in space and being able to pull. You got Mo Smith. You got some guys that are going to be able to move a little. That TJ, I believe is his name, from Alabama. Ferguson. Guys that are going to be able to move a little. That get you that extra. That get you that extra inch or two that you might need in the running game. Believe it or not, it makes a difference. I know. I'm not even trying. It's just just how it sounds.
Rolls off the tongue.
It makes it makes a difference in the running game. And now you got guys like Roydell, who what I did like about his film was his vision and his patience. And he's got a little bit more speed than I believe. You add in LT, who understands the offense. I think that's a good 1-2 punch right there for the running game. Now, what we have now that we haven't had in the past, you got some cats in that room. Like you got some dogs. You got you still have the young man from Penn State. Name escapes me right now, but from Tampa, Florida.
Keziah.
Keziah Holmes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Still could give you something there. You still have Sam Singleton. You still have, which again, I got a chance to witness Sam Singleton coaching up against him. Motherfucker could skedaddle. Like, and he's a big back. And you got Makai, who just so happens to be from a school that puts guys in the NFL. If you come from that school and you go to Florida State, it's a 100% chance you're going to get some coffee in the NFL. Everybody who's went from Florida High that's went to Florida State has gone to the NFL. Now, and I'm going to add my civil rights era face. Remember the times, pit bull build, thick neck. My boy's that's going to be their play cousin because I'm going to send them to Albany. Georgia's going to hang out with them. Again, whatever they fed them boys, like whatever, because he got a little brother. His little brother needs some cousins, man. So I'm sending cousin them over there to hang out with them for a month out of the year, and I expect them to come back built like pit bull puppies, just like Cam Davis. Cam Davis is going to catch somebody tired in one of these games and is going to run through their face masks, and it's going to be lovely. But it's just we haven't had this talented or deep of a backfield in quite some time. I'd argue we haven't been this talented since I played at Florida State with the guys in the backfield, which are Greg Jones, Leon Washington, Lorenzo Bookers, just a lot of guys that are just coming in big.
I hope the audience.
My bad, Keziah from big.
My guy is ready to run through a fucking wall.
My bad. I apologize.
Hey, you're good. You're good, man. I was just saying, you got me fired up. I believe it. I've been saying it. So to hear it come from you is a beautiful thing. And it's funny you brought up that thing about counter, because talking to you, talking to Chris,
I forgot about that. I forgot nigga my little brother.
Jalen Lucas. I was going to
Jalen Lucas. Nigga my little brother. I like him. He's he's a guy that gets lost in there, man. Like I look at him more of a gadget guy, like not really a running back, but he's not a slot receiver. He's the guy, if you get him in space, he's gonna make, and then returning those. I think you put him back there at punt return, and like we're gonna see. I love what my potential bastard son did. I don't know, we haven't done the blood work yet, but he has a lot of Coleman. That last name, man, like he got a lot of Coleman mannerisms in there, and I'm still trying to track the dates, right? So when I was in Louisiana at his birth, but I liked him return the punch, but that's just not what we do. Like we don't do that very well. Yeah. But Lucas looks like he could take something to the house.
Yeah. I think Lucas adds such a dynamic to the offense and special teams, and also what you had alluded to, James. With his frame, man, he'll be able to get lost in that particular play you were describing, hiding behind 6'5" guards and tackles, and he's 5'9", 5'10" maybe, with that kind of burst, because he's going to bring that kind of jitterbug explosiveness in the running game where he could finish runs. And I think in space, he'll probably be one of the better backs we do have in that particular area.
Without a doubt. This is the first time Mike Norvell kind of has everything he wants. He's got a back for every situation and depth across the board. James talked about losing Trayshawn Ward, and that, it kind of messed things up because you had to go with Trey, had to kind of be the guy. He had to do Trayshawn's job and his job. Luckily, Toafili came out and really blossomed, but this year it's really loaded. You lose your top guy, but with all the guys jumping up, it's really cool. Encyclopedia dropped a $2 super chat. He says, Greg Jones just tattooed Dexter Reed, one of his favorite clips, and we all love that clip of Greg Jones just shoulder shivering the absolute hell out of an all-conference safety and just sending him flying. I believe James has told that story before. I think he was on the team for that. So
I was on the
great
field.
shit. He was on the field, yeah.
He
You
was on the
blew somebody
field.
up on that play as well, did you not?
Yeah.
That's like it's hard to believe that, you know, it seems like a while ago. Like when you watch those clips, it almost, I want to think it's like in the 90s or something. TV changed so much just in the past 10 years. You watch those clips of Dexter Reed getting hit, it's like, yep, that was just 15 years ago. But even that seems like a long time. We talked about the running backs. We went through all the running backs and how James, you know, he hit the nail on the head about how well-rounded they are, and it's the best, you know, group of weapons he's had since he's been here. Offensive line is the same thing. He mentioned a couple of those guys. When I look at guard, I think at guard we're the best we've ever been. I think the guy we got from Florida, especially running our scheme, like you said, whether it's a counter or not, we're pulling guys all the time out of that counter G set. That's like it's what they do. They do it a ton. We ran it like 50 times against Miami that year, where we just kept pounding it and pounding it. But it's not always the same thing. You know, sometimes you run to the strong side. Sometimes they cross the face of the quarterback and they go to the left and make like a question mark. That's what I think of when I think of counter. And I was explaining to that. I was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter. He's like, oh, they just use counter every time. Anybody, you know, counter. I'm like, dude, it's just a formation. It's not a counter if you just run, if you don't fake, if you just keep running. Like it's just you ran to the strong side. There's pulling guards and stuff. But I think James actually came to my rescue on that. Like said something on the show about these assholes who think they're so smart and stuff. I'm pretty I know I'm not a football coach. I know I'm not a genius, really. Appreciate the people I've learned from and stuff. But, yeah, on that offensive line, I already mentioned the guards. Tackle, Darius Washington. He's the number 3 tackle, you know, depending on who you talk to in the nation. People talk shit about Jeremiah Byers. But if you look back at the history of the lumps tackles have taken in year 1 and how much better they've been in year 2, think of somebody like Robert Scott, the improvement he made over, you know, in his sophomore and junior year. The fact that he's able to move inside. Other people are able to move inside. You got Maurice Smith coming back for another year. So, yeah, that's the best you've been at center, too, because he's a year older. I just feel like the offensive line is going to be being undersold to the level that it's been. So you've got bigger holes and better backs. And just before I shut up, I just want to mention Roydell Williams and his running style, because that was talked about in the chat. Like, yeah, he's got faster speed than Trayshawn Ward had. He can do his thing inside, but even better than Trayshawn Ward, he has this ability to keep his balance and get through tiny holes. Do this little skip thing. It's like the craziest thing to me. It's like the difference in like a good running back and like these crazy elite ones. Maybe you'll know what I'm talking about, James, but it's like you got your right foot in front and like somebody grabs it somehow while that sumbitch is moving. I don't even know. It's like a skip. It's just a thing that running backs do. And anybody else in the population, you hit the ground. But these strong running backs, they can just keep going. He's got that thing going where there'll be 2 offensive linemen's legs crossed like this. He just skips right over it and keeps going. It's really a beautiful thing. I can't wait.
It's one of those things where you just gotta like. That's why you recruit, or even like in development. So like when I'm coaching my guys, all I can tell you is to make sure you know the name of the play, what the concept is. I'm going to teach you the steps and what your reads are. After that, man, God, that's running backs run. Like that's like either you can run or you can't. I can't, and that's just you. Every now and then you see a guy that can just do stuff that you're just like, oh, well, I don't really know how he did that, but perfect example. Bobby, God rest the OG. He go listen to him because he used to have the call-in show, right? And go listen to him narrate Peter Warwick's punt return. I believe it was the one against Louisiana Tech. He said, not that there Peter right there. He's doing everything that I told him to do. See, what I told him is, I want you to go run to the right. Then I want you to stop, juke this guy, come to the left, spin, go back to the right, go up a little bit, juke, go to the left. Like you can't see that shit. Like that stuff is that's innate. So like I can put you in a position to where you can let your innateness do what it's supposed to do. And that's really kind of all you can do. But you brought up some good things. Like, so Darius Washington can play all 5 positions on the offensive line. So a lot of people talk about that right tackle, right? And I think we're really, really hard on guys that we just pay attention to. And I'm just like, guys, like, or somebody for whatever reason, that's who I say, well, not we, because I cover the Jacks. I just played at Florida State and just happen to know a lot of shit about Florida State. But we find somebody and we just like, all right, here's what we're gonna pick on today. And it's like, what are we talking about? Like, the running game is not sustainable. What the fuck do you mean it's not? Like, our offense isn't doing well. We scored 30 plus points 12 games in a row. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, we got one of the top. Well, the offensive line stinks. I was like, bro, we haven't given up a set. What are we even arguing about? But I get it. That's the guy we don't like. Or Jordan Travis can't rely on the 50-50 ball. Or he does this or he does that. And I'm like, do you even know what a 50-50 ball is? I think a post ain't a 50-50 ball. He just scored doing that. We don't attack the middle enough. I said, what is a post? I give a post ain't attacking the middle. I don't know what it is. What they probably meant was intermediate routes. But again, that just goes to you regurgitating information from somebody else and you don't know what you're talking about. Now, can he play better? Fuck yeah, he can play better. But if he doesn't, cool. We know Darius can play that, and we know Rob Scott, and we know a whole bunch of other people have experience playing that left tackle position. Good. Can they stay healthy? And if not, what a great year to introduce us to the future. Guys that y'all been bitching about in Armella and Lucas and all these guys that I want to see play. Hey, if they can't get it done, somebody else will get it done. But one thing I'm not going to do is not have faith in Atkins with talent. And again, what he has done, he has raised the floor. The only difference with, I will not say this team is like 2023. That would be disingenuous at this point. But what I will say is it's like 2022, but the schedule is easier than 2022 and 2023. So we can have 2023 results with the team that's like 2022. And as the season progresses, we will know names and we will like them. We fell in love with 2023 because these guys showed us what they could do in 2022. But right now, we just don't know the names. We know they have the ability to do it. We just haven't seen it yet. And I can't argue. I can argue about potential, but as a guy who's heard it, as a player, as a guy who's coached it, and it's the potential just means you ain't did shit yet. So I can't go over the top, and we can't argue and troll on social media like we want to because we don't have 2,500 yards returning at quarterback. But what we do have is a guy who has been 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio everywhere he's been at. I don't need him to be Jordan Travis. I need him to throw 3-to-1 touchdown to interception. And if he can come down a little bit, even better, even funkier. Give me 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I'm taking that to the bank all day. And because again, nobody loves the Coleman household is a J-Trav family. J-Trav did some shit last year that made me be like, hey, man, what the fuck going on here? Is everything all right at home? Including in that Miami game. With the guys that could have thrown to, there were some times we did a little bit too much with his legs. I don't think DJ does that. And I also think in 3rd-and-1 situations, we're not going and getting cute because we got a 250-pound quarterback with a couple 230-pound running backs, or even Toa who's over 200, and we can get big and physical and nasty in there. So again, I think we'll be fine on the offense because of that.
Yeah, I think a lot of things have been talked about as far as our returning production, but what is not being looked at is where the production is returning. It's in the trenches on the line of scrimmage, whether you're looking at it on offense or defense, and that's a great place to have the most experience, because you can plug and play the skill positions right behind that. And I really talk to people or listen to people make those comments about the program and where we don't have coming back. But when you look at the key, you got what, eight guys that had playing time on the offensive line alone, not to mention those that we brought in from the portal that have playing experience in Division I football and have played in some big games. I'm going to lean on my offensive line. I'm going to lean on my running backs, and we're going to lean on you with a 250-pound quarterback and just run it down your damn throat.
Yeah. DJU's always been a smart quarterback in those, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the middle eight or whatever that people talk
Mhm.
about in your like situational football. He's always been the guy to just get that extra yard. I think what James is talking to is kind of one of the issues I had with Jordan Travis. If I ever complained, it seemed like situationally sometimes it'd be like 4th and 2, and we're taking a shot on a fade or a slant down the field when it's like, dude, it's 4th and 2. If you just give me another, we got 4 more chances to do that again. If you would have just ran for 10
Yeah.
yards, it's easy to say that's couch quarterbacking, but a DJU is somebody who's comfortable in that pocket. And not for nothing, he's used to winning. He goes out, wins 2 games. He did it at Clemson, he did it at Oregon State. One thing I look at is look at Mike Norvell's history with quarterbacks. Any quarterback that he's actually went into the season with as his starting quarterback, going all the way back to Arizona State, you're getting 3,000 plus yards, 20 plus touchdowns, under 10 interceptions. That's what you're getting. As I forgot, Kerry Go Knowles did a super chat saying, "We believe in Mike Go Knowles, and we love you and agree with you on that." But yeah, just wanted to hammer that home. And another thing about DJU, just looking at Mike Norvell's coaching record, what he's done, going from Brady White to Jordan Travis at Florida State. Now you mentioned this offensive line. What was the issue with Jordan Travis and the Florida State quarterbacks the first couple of years of Norvell's tenure? You couldn't get him any time. That's why, part of the reason Jordan Travis ends up being the guy, because he can use his legs to make up for time and stuff. You're not going to need that. You're actually going to have a dude have time. You're going to have holes open up. We'll get to wide receivers last. It's probably the weakest wide receivers and tight end. It's probably the weakest position out there. But again, with the running game, with the offensive line and everything else, you're going to be just fine because, people are going to be, you don't have to be pissed about those quote unquote 50-50 balls, even though half of them are really 80-20 balls and 90-10 balls and the worst 60-40 balls, like James was alluding to earlier. You're not going to be a lot of those situations. You're going to get guys, you're going to get them open thanks to formation, thanks to drawing up X's and O's. You know how hard it's going to be to have to cover Lawrence Stoafili on a wheel route when Roydell Williams might be busting it down the middle, or Malik Benson is on a go route on the opposite side. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're more balanced, more well-rounded. You just don't have the quote-unquote jersey names. And Keon Coleman didn't exist. He was a one-year rental. There wasn't anybody on that roster going into that year. At least we have freshmen and things of that nature coming up. But all the guys have been talking our heads off. What on the offense really excites you, and why we got James here? What do you want to ask him about, or what do you have on your mind that you're excited about on the offense? And then after that, we'll get into the book bag drive.
Well, number one, I was on the DJU train so early, that is my guy. I think he's going to do very well. And I'm not down for this. I really think that this is going to be a good year for the offense. And I'm not really even down on the wide receivers with DJ. And I think with Roydell Williams is going to be a superstar this year. I think he's going to open it up. I think Malik Benson is going to be really good. And I am not concerned with DJ with Mike Norvell in his ear with.
Ooh, that's another good point.
I know
that's a great point.
He gets his mic in his ear now, right?
Yes.
This is going to be I think it's going to be a good thing. And I think people aren't really thinking about it. So I am super excited to see that. And, the offensive line, I'm not as sold as you guys, but this is just my personal opinion because I left, I have such PTSD from a couple years ago. I'll believe it when I see it. I need to get there.
Understood.
But that's what I would say.
I'll add one thing. I'll say with the wide receivers, like you said, Jen, I think talent is there. Production has been the only question. But in comparison, we were coming into this situation in 22 and we got a lot of production and we saw the production. I mean, if you look at our starters from 22, you had Pokey, you had Johnny, who was coming in with 100 yards at Arizona State, just under 200. And then you had Micah, who didn't have a lot of production either, other than special teams. And we were able to get almost 1,000 yards out of Johnny that year. in which he came back the following year and his production went down for different reasons because we had a lot more talent around him. I think this year's team, like James, like you said, it's going to be very similar to 22, but with better results. With those 3 games that we lost, very close between Clemson, Wake Forest, and NC State, those are those games that I think we will win because the overall talent coming off the bench, the floor is raised, so we'll be a much better program and offensive production. And we still have not seen Mike's full offense yet at FSU. We haven't seen what he did at Memphis yet.
Yeah, even when I go back and I think about, again, you just brought it up, Deshawn. Like, I mean, we didn't know Johnny Wilson wasn't like we were, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I was saying things like, can we get a guy with, can we get guys with 2 legs? Because the year before we went and got whatever I call him Disney Channel, because if it would have worked, they would have made a movie about him. The boy from UCF,
McKenzie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, McKenzie Milton. But then you had Trey coming off of, I think, was it 2 ACL injuries that Trey? I think I believe he had. You had Johnny, who had done absolutely nothing at Arizona State. And you saw Johnny be able to do what he was able to do, come up big in games. I mean, hell, he had more yards and catches against Louisville than he had in his entire career coming at. Malik Benson is a breakout candidate for that. He only had like 120 some odd yards at Bama on 15 catches. I mean, we could get that in week 1. But with his speed, again, with Brown's speed, with Lucas, with Keem, and I go back to seeing Keem on that screen. Like, that was nuts to be that big and to be able to move that fast. That's who I really believe. I think Malik Benson, we need to get something. We need to get something here.
Yeah.
But we need Keem to be that guy, not just for our season, but for the recruiting. Like, we need him to emerge as that MF. And I believe he can be, and I believe he wants to be. I think he's dynamic. And these young pups that they brought in, Lil Wayne, the Pilgrim, the cold-ass Pilgrim, Pryor, I'm not even talking about the young man who just came in from the D.C. area who's got incredible body control in route running. So, again, I hate that word. It's the P word, the power, potential.
Yeah,
there is, but that's one thing I will say going in 2022. Now during the spring, I was able to say it, and I saw him this spring, and I felt good. But I remember and I've never been one to mince words. 2022 first practice, I go out there, I'm like, man, this is the best first practice that I've seen, and that was my 5th year watching first practices. I always go to the first practice in the spring and the padded practice, the first padded practice. I was like, yo, these cats move different. I saw that again this past spring, but it's different. I like Dugans is getting some pieces in here that he can work with. And more so, it's what I believe the defense is going to be able to do. When you're weak, the one thing you can always rely on, if you're not sure about your offense, you better have a good solid D. And that Fuller D is going to be crazy. Like, tons of length in the back, tons of length in the back end, and in the front end, them boys thick. Between we call them. Anybody watch Ren? Was it just me? Am I the only degenerate that watched Ren and Stimpy?
No, I did.
Remember Ren and Stimpy? Had the 2 twins. Was it Meat and Meat?
Yes.
I'm telling you, that's if you step back and just go watch Ren and Stimpy, right? And then go look at the 2 brothers that were big, and then go Meat and Meat, and then go look at Jackson and Farmer and tell me that's not the football equivalent of Meat and Meat. They're not dumb, but there's some big MFers, man. In the middle, which if they can bully the middle, they can punch and push in the pocket. That just leaves Marvin Jones, Patrick Payton, who could have made all ACC as a DB with the amount of pass breakups that he had. You're getting single blocks, and God bless you. Better have a bunch of All-American left tackles and right tackles that they're going up against. So again, I know we're not talking about defense, but what I'm thinking is our defense is going to give our offense a lot of chances to be able to have the ball, especially early on. And when you have a team like this, you're going to get development through playing.
Yes.
And the more reps you're going to get on offense, the more opportunities that they get on defense means for a better team. So again, that's why I'm really excited about this team, as well as the 2025 season moving up. And I'm not as concerned about, you got to get it eventually, but I'm not as concerned about recruiting because I can see the future based upon what we have done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Had Mike not had 2022, I'd be a lot more critical. But because I've seen what he's been able to do in 2022, I'm a little more optimistic when it comes to it.
Yeah, y'all both nailed it. Deshawn hit on it a little bit. Yeah, it's a lot like 2022 where you just don't have the yards and touchdowns and all that. You don't have the production on paper, but you had the talent. But in 2024, the talent compared to what we had in 2022, it's nowhere near close. And it's not across the board. Your offensive line, pretty much everybody from 2022 is back or replaced with somebody better. So, yeah, better offensive line. DJU is better than 2022 Jordan Travis. Any way you want to cut it, it's a more talented squad. And what I was trying to get to earlier about Mike's history with DJU, Mike's history with running backs, all these things. Look at a guy like Graham Mertz going into Florida last year. Dude was a straight loser. Like, all he did was lose. Been in college football 3-4 years. Everybody said he was going to stink. He was going to do all this. Well, he gets in Florida's system with Napier, who's pretty good with quarterbacks and making things easy for him. And he goes out and he's, quote unquote, the best quarterback in the SEC by all these different stats. If a guy can do something like that with Mertz on a 5-7 team in that nightmare of a schedule they have, what makes folks think Florida State, Mike Norvell can't just get that 3-to-1 touchdown ratio with DJU? Like, it's pretty hilarious. But yeah, I couldn't be higher. I'm not worried about the offense. I mentioned wide receivers. There's some issues just with production, but tons of talent. All those freshmen, the guys we've brought in. Florida State, matter of fact, I don't know if it was while we're live or I missed it. It was a little bit earlier today. Signed Conte Kaysen, a JUCO running back / wide receiver out of the 2021 class. 5'10", 190 pounds. So another guy kind of like Jalen Lucas, I guess, to get in there. I don't know why they signed him. Maybe he'll be a Jalen Lucas for the practice squad or whatever the case may be. We'll see how it works out. But just another one of these athletes to come in. But again, I've been posting in the comments about the backpack drive, putting the cash app. The cash app is $MFTK36. If you guys would like to donate to the backpack drive, James is trying to get 4,000 backpacks to distribute between Tallahassee, Jacksonville, and Atlanta, where his buddy is, to help him out, get those sent up there for the third big one. But let the folks know how everything's going. I've seen, just judging from my side, seeing the stuff you've been posting on social media, seems like this is maybe the best one yet. And I also came across something on Twitter. I don't know if there's some announcement you want to make or some exciting thing. We can talk about that too. Whatever. This is a family show, so I'll let you take it.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I have a grown daughter, so I haven't heard from her in quite some time. But so she actually hit me up while we were on. That's why I took a break. I looked at the number. I didn't recognize the number. I wasn't going to answer it, but I got a lot of shit going that I have to answer phone numbers that I don't recognize them. I'm not going to talk about that too much because I don't do that. I don't do that emotional shit. So, but anybody who's a parent, you sit back and you think about things a lot. So that was dope. Trying to process that. I'll call her back after a little bit later, but I was happy about that. But bigger than that, again, bigger than me. For my birthday, this will be my 5th year, but for the last 5 years for my birthday, I've done a community book bag drive, and we started in Tallahassee. The Jacksonville people said, "Why not do something in Jacksonville?" So COVID was weird because everybody started school at different times. So we did it August, my first year in Tallahassee, then October at Jacksonville. But then the last few years, we have done it around my birthday. So it'll be the 27th. We will have our book bag drive in Tallahassee. at Bond Elementary School in the hood. Love it though. It's dope. It's so sweet. I call it, if you've never seen the movie New Jack City, watch it. It's my Nino Brown moment. Everybody has to have a Nino Brown moment. And Nino Brown was in the car, on the truck. He was throwing turkeys at people. So this is my Nino Brown moment. And how it started was, I'm a guy. People don't know my story. I'm not from the Bond community. I'm from another neighborhood in Tallahassee called Rockbrook, and I was blessed to have the Dope Boys. That a lot of people look at them wrong, and I get it, but they never encouraged me to do the wrong thing. I was always encouraged to do the right thing, and they made sure that they gave money. But it was the greatest marketing tool of all time. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be when you're coming up? I wanted to make money. I wanted the girls. I wanted the cars. And those are the guys who had it. But they would give us a couple $100 for us to be able to get school supplies, go get some clothes, go get some fly gear, and do things like that. So I thought about we can all talk about this, and everybody, especially in the political season, everybody can talk about this, that, and the other, whatever the fuck. I don't know. I deal with enough politicians on both sides to know the politicians full of shit. But I do know me and James Coleman, I can go make an impact, and I take people wherever they want to go. So my guy Steve saw it with the Super Bowl. I do it from a business perspective, but I also do it from a physical perspective. So if you don't, if you're afraid to go, I'm not, and I'm going to go. So how I started was, I know I will write a check out of my own personal money for X amount of bags. Mm-hmm. But if I could get the community behind it, we can all get more bags. We can exponentially impact more people. So for $36, here's how it works. That each community, we give about a week's worth of groceries. We have the partnership with the food banks. We give them a book bag filled with 9 weeks worth of school supplies. And there's a football camp that is attached to it after that. Now this year, the football camp, in previous years, we've had current players, former players, and we'll probably have some FAMU guys come out and work with your kids. So we don't do fan day anymore. So if you want to get some autographs, give fucking $36 and get your ass to the football camp. and come, you'll see guys like Maurice Smith has done the last 2 years. Rob Scott has done the last 2 years. We had both D'Lo and Tatum Bethune did it last year. I can't tell you who's going to do it, but we always have some guys do it. And they're in fall camp. So I always appreciate them doing that. So there's that in Tallahassee. That's the 27th is the book bag drive at Bond. The 28th is the football camp at FAMU High. Mm-hmm. In Jacksonville on the 3rd, August 3rd, I can't tell you the name of the school. I forgot it, but the flyers are on my pin suite. We're doing that in the middle of the hood again, out east. It's okay. You'll be safe. Pass out food, pass out book bags, and then on the 4th, we are doing a football camp and a parent symposium at Edward Waters University. So we'll have the football camp going from 9:30 to 11. So it's 9:30 by 12. Your kids are going to be out there. Parents, you can go in the air conditioning in the gym. And what we will be having is people come around talk about NIL because the state of Florida at that point probably would have fully passed it. So what you need to know about the NIL, what you need to know about making your kid into a Power 5 athlete, because right now you have to graduate early. And that starts in middle school. So there's classes. So we'll have somebody to walk you through, hey, here's what your child's schedule should look like if indeed you want them to go to college, because they got to go early. We'll have, for Pop Warner coaches, we'll have Toby Bullock, the head coach of Mandarin High School. We'll be giving a breakdown of how to create practice plans for youth, along with easy blocking concepts for offense. We'll have somebody go over defensive plans for Pop Warner coaches. Okay. And then we'll have somebody talk about nutrition and as well as alternative things. I'm trying to get these guys with, it's called Ninth Bridge Jacksonville. They're a tech company. They teach youth coding. So trying to get the parents to understand that there's multiple things and there's a process that you can do to be able to create the next generation of athletes. Just as much as you're a product of your environment, you're a product of your development. And I think that's what people got to realize. And the cool thing is, I'm gonna take a bunch of bunch of pilgrims from the real neighborhoods, and we're gonna go to the fucking hood, so you can see how I like this. And this is nothing against anybody, but I was like this. I had never seen a white person like that until I went to my high school. in my high schools, Florida High was 60% white. It's a direct reflection of the state of Florida. But I had never been around people like that, so I didn't know. My only involvement with white people was the Hallmark Channel. I literally thought, that's why I love the Hallmark Channel to this day. I thought all white people's Christmases was like the Hallmark Channel. And I wanted my Christmases to be like that with snow. And even in Tallahassee, I just knew on the other side in Killearn, there was snow somehow, and they was doing that Hallmark shit. But taking people from out of their comfort zone and meeting people where they're at, and what you'll start realizing is those people across the tracks are just like you. The only thing that they want to do is be able to earn a living and not be fucked with. and just how most people are. So excuse my language, but that's just kind of the way that we get it done. But money sign MFTK for the Cash App. I appreciate everybody who's donated. Everything that I do, I try to share, like, because I don't care what the number is. Like, shout out to Clay Fink. Jid in college, he ain't really making no bread. He gave $15. I'm excited as fuck about the $15 that Clay gave. I'm excited, excited about anything that anybody gives, because it's a little bit less of a check that I got to cut. But we will get the four. One thing about it, two things for sure. I will get 4,000 book bags. Don't know how, but we will get that. Every year we've increased. It started from, I believe, 1,100 bags. Last year we gave 3,600 bags. This year will be 4,000. One day I'll be famous enough and we'll give 36,000 bags across places. But on my back, Orlando is July 20th. Orlando's just a book bag drive, and I believe food distribution. And then we're giving 500 bags to the Omega Psi Phi chapter that my boy Grimes is with up in Atlanta. So I told him I'll make sure he gets funded for that. So again, it's a dope thing. I've been doing it. I'm gonna do it. It almost didn't go past 2 because I almost died one year doing it. But luckily I'm still here. As long as I'm here, every year around my birthday, I will be doing that. So when you go to the when you buy a tailgate ticket, that helps toward this. These MFTK hats, those go toward that. I mean, I write the check for it, so this is all profit for so basically a hat buys a book bag if you just need that. Only problem with buying the hats, I'm a little nervous about the post offices for whatever reason. You will get the hat. I just got to get to the damn post office. But sorry about that if I took too long on that, George.
No, man, you're totally great. I want people to know all about it. There is no better cause. This is my second year being able to help kind of get the word out there. James said he wants to get it to 36,000 or something like that. Hopefully I can get my total that I'm able to donate up a little bit. It's a really awesome cause. Whatever you can do, any little bit helps. And yeah, you got to meet people where they're at and get out there and do the stuff. And James just doesn't talk about it. He does it in many different ways, whether it's coaching the youth or coaching his high school team or helping out with kids NIL deals and getting these backpacks out there. You see a lot of these things where people do stuff for show, or it's just a backpack to hand out really quick and they get it done in 2 hours and they're gone. This isn't that, like he talked about. He gets anything he can get for free, anything gets sponsors, he gets all that, and then the check gets cut. They're getting a backpack full of everything they need. They don't have to even go to school supply shopping. The first 9 weeks is taken care of. I've seen folks, do jackets and all kinds of different things he's done over the years. So really great cause. Again, the Cash App is up there, MFTK36. If you can help, do that. If you have to Facebook pay or whatever different avenues, you can go check out his Twitter, MFTK, the website and everything else. And you can find a way to commit to that. So yeah, big time deal. We wanted to make sure we had James on here for a full episode so we could really plug it. We got up to about 315 people live was the peak when we stopped to do it. So hopefully plenty of you guys can do that. Also, please hit that like button and the subscribe button if you haven't already. Every show we get 40, 50, 60% unsubscribed viewers. So, hit that subscribe button, guys. We really appreciate it. You don't even know how much it helps the channel. And also that like button. But we're almost out of time. I will throw the number up here. I know James has stuff going on and everybody does with all their babies and with my puppies. So we'll give y'all another 10, 15 minutes. If you have any phone calls or any questions you want, now is the time for that. You can call 850-495-1906. One thing we wanted to talk a little bit about, Deshawn brought up, little bit of NFL Noel action. We know you also cover the Jaguars over on your channel, as well as your guy that does the checkup videos for you there. How are we feeling about our guy Darian Jones? Have you had any feedback on how he's been doing so far over there at the Jaguars?
Oh yeah, Darian is dope, man. Like he's working out with another Noel. One of my former teammates, Mikhail Carnegie, aka Coach Corndog. He's over there doing different drills with him, getting prepared for the season. That man's a dog, man. He's really entrenched. I'm gonna try to get him. I know they'll be in training camp, but I'm gonna try to get him to slide through the football camp or the book bag drive, whichever one he chooses. But I like it. He's going to be a key contributor this year, in particular, especially how much you have to mix up coverages in the NFL. But his ability to run man is second to none. He's very quick, very explosive. So, and we're going to be going up against some top dogs. So we're going to definitely need him. The guy that I was always saying this between him and Nardo. I was like, they remind me of Tyson Campbell. So a lot of that's actually probably the best pick. Obviously, everybody's going to go with Trevor Lawrence, but Tyson Campbell might have been the best pick up by Urban Meyer in that draft class. Even though he was like a third-round pick, he ended up becoming a starter. It's probably been one of our better DBs. His problem was he didn't have ball skills. So all he knew how to do was cover. He'd be in perfect position, but he was getting dunked on. Now, Jarian was in a similar situation, but shout out to Coach Surtain for being able to make all of those guys get a little bit better with their technique of when the ball is in the air, in particular in man coverage. But I always go back to a conversation that I had. I thought it was crazy. It was between me and T-Buck. T-Buck told me on the sidelines, Jarian Jones, this was the 5 and 7 year, if I remember correctly. Him, Tony Carter were all on the sidelines. This was right before he took the job with the Orlando team in the with the XFL. And he said Jarian and he said Renard that would be in the NFL. And at that point, the fan base literally hated Jarian Jones. And they just thought he wasn't anything. And when I'm looking at what T-Buck told me, and I'm looking at his progression and his confidence and his swagger, man, it couldn't happen to a better kid. Covering, I'm telling you, man, one of the funnest things I do is cover the combine. And seeing him and Nardo, one of the disrespect that Nardo gives you, because they give the people the big platforms when they think you're a draft pick. The guys on the side, nobody goes and interviews them. They don't talk to those guys. But Nardo and Fisk were to the side. Now, Jarian had his own thing, and him and Jarian were at the same time. My guy Steve went over there and covered Jarian's interview, did great. I went over there with Nardo, and it was just a thing where I just felt the confidence brimming in these guys. And I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for him. I can't wait till next year to see who the next guys are going to be.
Awesome.
Definitely. It was beautiful, man. He came out, what was it, before the 22 season or after the 21? I can't remember, but he was like, all that shit y'all was talking on Twitter.
Yeah. Iconic.
We almost
iconic. Yeah.
We were supposed to have him on a space or on the podcast or something at one point, and it fell through. I hate that happened because, it was, 21, 22, it was rough. I came around 2022 and became a fan when he really started working and put out that whole statement. But some people kept on up into this year. He really made them eat shit. So it was really cool to see. Usually, if you see a guy that pops up in spaces or cares what people think on the timeline, usually it doesn't work out. We've seen a lot of that, from the Willie Taggart years. But no, he didn't say much. He just came out and was like, "Look, here's the deal. I hear the shit y'all are talking. Watch." He called his shot before that season, and he went out there and
did it.
Out. DJ Big Rich won with another $4.99 super chat. He says, "We are running it down y'all's throats. If you can stop that, this play action going up top. If not, I'll bet money we in field goal range. FSU is defense." So awesome, man. We appreciate the super chat. Again, the phone lines are open. It's 850-495-1906. we're long in the tooth. This thing's about to end up, even though it seems like this happens a lot. We've got our most viewers right at the end. We're up to 326. Guys, Jen, anything on your mind? Anything you wanted to ask James? Anything you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No?
I mean, no, I'm good.
Well, for me, I'll add one more thing on Jerry Jones, and I'll say this: he is the poster child for why we shouldn't jump the gun on any of the other secondary players. I know we have question marks about certain particular players in the secondary returning this year. Yeah. But if we've seen what Jerry happened, and that's development and growth in the system, then we should give every other player that same respect and allow them to develop and let them show us what they're about. That's it for me.
I agree 100%. James, anything we haven't covered? Anything you need to get out there? Any myths we need to spell about any of the Mandarin guys or anything like that? Before we get out here?
I can't speak for everybody, but if it's something with Mandarin, I'm more than likely the source when it comes to that. I can get to the bottom of it. My guys won't lie to me. But for if you want to really see what it's like, I did 2 really cool things. I believe I'm going to be able to do Jamie's August 30th. But it was really cool to do. Obviously, we had Trammell on. He shut down his commitment. We had we covered Drake's commitment on 4th of July. Great experience. Love being around those families. Those are really, really so you can kind of see what it's like. But we are literally 80 members away from getting to 6,000. So in the course of all of this other bullshit, I'm still doing my giveaways. Once every increment of 1,000 that we reach on Dead Media Group, we do giveaways. So we'll give a $500 giveaway once we get to 6,000, $100 for members, and then the amount of likes. So if we have 100 likes, 150 likes, we're going to give away $150, but to a greenie. So that's a member. So membership is $3.99 all the way up to the top of it. So in theory, one person can win $700. Well, at least $600 or however much it comes out to. The goal is 10,000 by football season. We get to 10,000 by football season. We'll give away a pair of season tickets for FSU channel. So a pair of season tickets to FSU home games, as well as a parking pass. During the season, every Wednesday of a home game, we give away a pair of tickets. So even if we don't get to 10,000, listen to the show on Wednesdays. We do it live. To whoever's listening, they get a pair of tickets to the game. We still got the tailgates and everything else going on. So outside of that, man, just be happy. Learn to enjoy the happiness as it's there. Bad times are coming. As they did in Game of Thrones. Winter is coming.
When it's coming.
I don't know when, but right now I'm going to enjoy the summer until winter comes. I'm not going to go, don't be so caught up and this is unsustainable that you actually miss the opportunity of the good times, because those bad times for Florida State standards were extremely bad. So you're not going to get me unhappy about winning 13 games and seeing these top prospects wanting to commit. We'll worry about the bad times when the bad times come. Enjoying the good times is what helps you get through the bad.
Beautifully said. I couldn't agree more. And again, guys, it's MFTK36 if you want to donate on Cash App to the 4,000 book bag drive. Also, that's at Den Media Group. Go help him get to 6,000 subscribers. It's crazy. It's a big run. I wouldn't doubt if he hit 10,000, but let's get to 6,000. They give away all kind of awesome stuff over there, and of course, do everything with the community with MFTK, and everything else. Of course, hit that subscribe button here. We're trying to get to 2,500. We're like 9 subscribers away. Try to get to 4,000 by the season. We love all you guys. Deshawn, go ahead and plug your YouTube channel so the folks can go check it as well, so they can get their NFL information.
I got to bounce, guys.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank you,
man.
James.
We're just closing it off. Thank you, James.
Okay, that's Double D's Let's Talk Ball podcast. Double D's Let's Talk Ball podcast. Also D's Corner, DSCORNER, D's Corner, and also Double D's Gaming. It's all located on YouTube. We also have Cowboy Dame 7819 Twitch channel for gaming.
Getting ready for NCAA. Playing all the fun shooters for the time being. Yep. All right, Ben, any closing words before we get out of here?
No. Thank you guys for joining us. And, we have the Renegade Roast tomorrow at 9
9:15
Eastern,
yeah.
8 Central. Sorry.
Mhm.
9:15 Eastern. Renegade Roast
Yes.
live every Monday. We will see you there. Go Knowles, baby.